A few people have asked me to review films that I actually like for a change. So here it goes. I'm going to try to be positive for 10 minutes and review a film that I love called The Orphanage. Quick shout out to Lauren for helping me write this review. Lauren was kind enough to donate $10 a month to the channel, which means she earned the reward of writing a review with me. And so thanks, Lauren, it was an absolute pleasure. If anyone else would like to write something with me, there's a link to my Patreon in the description. So this is one of my favorite films ever, let alone just horror films. It's charming, it's genuinely scary without being too in your face. It isn't riddled with jump scares, it's emotionally wrought, it has good characters, and it's just really well constructed. Most of this review isn't going to be spoiler based. There'll be a point at the end, but I'll let you know when that happens so that if you haven't seen it but you want to watch some of this review, you can watch it and then you can click out. So what I really liked about this film is that it uprooted a terrible pattern of stagnancy within horror. For example, what seems to pass for originality in film today is like shooting it in a country that not many Western horror films have been shot in before. Like the director of The Other Side of the Door said.
I just wanted to get that freshness again to horror, and to explore unknown that we hadn't explored. And so I think India really brought that all in. And I think we really sort of go with Maria's extraordinary journey because it is in a sort of in a different location.
Or like if you have a slightly different monster, demon, or spirit from the next film, you've basically transcended human consciousness, and oh my god, how did you get so smart? How does your brain even fit in your head, mate? Meanwhile, every single other concept and theme in the entire film is cookie cutter and formulaic and present in every other film. For example, the film The Green Inferno was a run-of-the-mill slasher film. Oh wait, no. It had cannibals in it instead of a guy in a cloak killing everyone. So it's an original masterpiece, right? If the horror genre and most genres in general keep on going the way they're going, soon there'll not only be no horror subgenres, but no genres whatsoever. There'll just be one film called film that is just the amalgam of all of the most overused cliches and tropes of all genres mashed together into a colorless mess. We're not even that far off doing that, really. Like replacing Emily Rose with Molly Hartley as the name of a protagonist that gets possessed by a demon in another Exorcist knockoff. So The Orphanage, in my opinion, was a shining blessing upon all that consider themselves fans of the horror genre. It managed to cut through that superficial veneer of formulaic, monotonous, stupid, jump scare-ridden bullshit. It doesn't feign originality by swapping out the haunted house for a haunted doll, or a cloaked murderer for a pack of cannibals. All the while, underlying the formula and template for a horror film remains completely identical behind all films. The Orphanage actually keeps the most overused of all horror tropes, the haunted house, and changes basically everything else about horror behind that. In fact, the ghosts and the haunted house are actually central to the story, but there was so much other richness to the film, so the fact that it was about a haunted house was just one part of a deeply engaging film, as opposed to the whole thing. The Orphanage was unpredictable. If you said that you guessed the ending before you saw it, I'd have thought you were a liar. Characters were developed as actual humans, praise the fucking Lord. The storyline was complex and multifaceted, the production quality was impeccable, the locations were brilliant, the atmosphere was dope, the acting was near infallible. So if I've sold you this film so far, please click out because the spoilers begin now. So I didn't want to retell the entire film as if I'm just providing a synopsis, but I do want to go over some of the scenes quickly because I think that they're indicative of what all horror filmmakers should be fucking doing. The film is almost entirely set in an orphanage that a woman, Laura, who used to attend the orphanage as a kid, has bought to renovate. She now has a young boy, Simon, and a husband that live there with her. The connection between the family is undeniable. There are plenty of tender scenes in this film that don't try to cram a bunch of superfluous bullshit into them. They just simmer away, building the foundation for a great group of characters with interesting dynamics that you can actually give a shit about.
Despertar. ¿Me puedo despertar? Mamá. cuántos años te vas a morir?
Pero bueno, ¿qué pregunta es esa? Pues me moriré dentro de mucho, mucho, mucho cuando tú ya seas muy mayor.
Yo no voy a ser mayor. Yo no voy a crecer.
There's this nice slow burning quality to the whole film that means the characters are humans foremost and aren't just there to deliver plot points into your face. For example, Simon casually mentions he's been playing with some friends he met in the house. Laura thinks they're imaginary friends. That's it. Pretty normal scene. Normal part of parenthood even. Not even any jump scares at all in this film yet. Laura didn't see any kids with their mouths open far too wide. A really great scene is when Laura and Simon walk down the beach that is near the orphanage.
Pirata.
Pirata.
Cueva
Cueva
y faro.
y faro. A ver. Eras una vez un pirata muy malo, muy malo, muy malo.
All these locations were really well scouted, by the way. In some caves down on the beach, Simon is talking to someone. Laura doesn't think much of it. He's an imaginative kid after all. Simon says the person he's talking to is a kid named Tomas, and asks Laura if the boy can come back to the orphanage with them to play. She says yes, playing along with his game. Simon then leaves a trail of shells he's collected along the beach and up the path all the way to the orphanage.
¿Qué haces tirando las conchas, Simón?
Es un caminito para que mi amigo lo siga y venga a casa a jugar.
Ha hecho otro amigo.
The next day, Laura opens the front door and there are a fucking pile of shells on the doorstep. Any other film would have made it so Laura maybe opened the door and saw a scary dead ghost kid there. Not this film. It managed to be 10 times more scary and more atmosphere building just by involving beautiful seashells. Horror filmmakers should be taking note. The next standout point of the film were the treasure hunts. Simon keeps mentioning these friends he's playing with around the house. He mentions a game to Laura that you get a wish if you win a treasure hunt.
Solo algo que tú quieres mucho y tienes que encontrarlo.
This part is really cool in my opinion because with every other film you would have been 10 jump scares deep, and the only character development that would have been done was that white-ass family would have probably had chicken nuggets on a pizza to show you their quirkiness and personality.
Well, you got to try with the nuggets. It's a little better.
So Simon's imaginary friends lead them around the house via strategically placed clues.
Las monedas del mus.
Esto no son las monedas, son tus dientes de leche. ¿Dónde los has encontrado?
Se han llevado mis monedas.
In one place they find something that belongs somewhere else. When they take that thing back to the space where the original item belongs, they find another item that needs to go somewhere else. And so on. Eventually they're led to a kitchen drawer that's locked, and upon opening it with a key Simon found, adoption papers are found. Simon then says to his mum that he found out from Tomas that he was adopted and he was going to die soon.
Mentirosa, tú eres la que dice que eres madre y no eres madre. La verdad, que yo soy como ellos, que yo no tengo padre ni madre, que me voy a morir. Tú no eres madre, eres una mentirosa.
Wow, I think I just found a movie with actual characters and a storyline that's not fucking terrible. I think I have to review this. Alright, what the hell is this? You bastard kids! I'm sick of your treasure hunts! Give me back my laptop now! I'm sick of playing! You always hide my shit and replace it with granulated substances. I don't have time for this, you fucking bastard kids. This better not be washing powder. I'm not doing this fucking treasure hunt. I'm not doing one more fucking clue. Buy a new laptop. I don't care. Before a costume party that Laura throws as an opportunity for families to come and see the orphanage reopened as a disability support house, Simon comes upstairs and asks Laura to come to Tomas's secret house. Laura says no because she's busy and Simon demands that she follows him. Eventually Simon knocks a cake Laura was holding, and in the spur of the moment, Laura slaps Simon across the face. If the writers had have failed to build characters properly and create multi-dimensional people that can do bad things but also be forgiven for those things because they have other redeeming qualities, this film could have been a lot different. Afterwards, Simon disappears, and Laura runs around the party removing children's masks to try to find him. She's confronted in the hallway by a child with a crude sack mask on their head. The child approaches Laura and pushes her into the bath and locks the bathroom. Because she's not a one-dimensional character, we don't immediately think that she's an irreparably shit human being. Sure, hitting children is bad, but despite that, we can empathize with her guilt and her worry. We feel for her plight, which is a testament to the writing. The humanness is what makes these kinds of films actually scary. The more grounded in observable reality the characters are, the more that we can relate to how fucking scary the abnormal stuff going on around them is. Right? If they're not cartoonish people, then we can actually become grounded in their experience of whatever the fucked up shit is happening. Seems like a simple concept, but apparently it's not. Days go on and Laura doesn't find Simon. Police are called, she gets frantic trying to figure out where he went. Simultaneously, she's hearing these disconcerting sounds around the house, and she's considering the merit of what Simon said about his imaginary friends, and potentially if there's ghosts in the house. So the movie goes on, still no ghosts or big mouths or any sort of cliche trope. In fact, there almost isn't any ghosts in the movie so far. At all. A psychic comes through the house, and I really liked this scene. The psychic says to Laura that those who are closer to death can see what's on the other side. She does a sweep of the house, and the audio captures the sounds of children crying frantically as they die from being poisoned. The psychic can see and interact with the children, and Laura comes to terms with the fact that there are spirits of children in the house that died of poisoning. A very quick recap. There's been no jump scares, almost no ghost sightings. There's been no violins played sharply to scare you. What's going on? And yet this film still manages to hold up a really tense atmosphere. So as the months go by and various parts of the mystery are solved, for instance, who poisoned the children, which was Benigna, Tomas's mother, and that Tomas had facial deformities and drowned in a cave Simon found him in, because the children of the orphanage at the time had taken his mask off and told him to come out of the cave, but the tide came in and he drowned. As well, Lara had been trying personally to contact the children in the house for some time. She'd done another treasure hunt, hoping that she'd be led to Simon. She found a door handle in the treasure hunt that fits no other doors in the house, and so she can't quite finish the puzzle. No, I can't be fucked with these kids anymore. I'm just gonna do some washing. Bloody ghost treasure hunt. I thought of that shit. It's fucking milk! Fuck! I'm not putting this away. I'm not giving in. I'm not playing this treasure hunt. I don't even want to know what's in the fucking fridge. No, not doing it. What the fuck? Who keeps tomato sauce in the fridge? Oh, there's a poo in the pantry! Ah! So the dopest and scariest scene I've ever seen in a horror movie is in this film. So a bit of backstory for this scene. It's been 6 months or so since Simon had been lost. Laura refurnishes the orphanage to make it look like it did when the children were alive and also when Laura herself used to be in the orphanage. She sets up tables, makes food, dresses up in old clothes, she sets all these beds up. She's at her wit's end and she's about to have a breakdown when all the children don't seem to be responding and showing themselves to her, even though she believes now that they're definitely in the house. She takes a nondescript amount of pills in one scene and goes back looking for them. Eventually, she tries to play a game that she used to play at the orphanage as a kid. And just watch some of this scene and you can tell me what you think.
Un, dos, tres, toca la pared. Un, dos, tres, toca la pared. Un, dos, tres, toca la pared. 1, 2, 3, 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 toca la dos, tres.
She chases one, but they disappear. A little girl runs through the house and disappears under the staircase. Laura goes in but can't see her. She searches around. Then she goes to get out and the girl shuts her in there. She realizes that there is a door on the other side and that the doorknob she got from the treasure hunt actually fits into it. She moves some scaffolding and opens the door. Down the stairs is the 6-month dead body of her son. The sounds she'd been hearing in the house months ago were actually him knocking on the basement door, trying to get Laura's attention so she could let him out. She'd accidentally pinned the door shut with scaffolding that was under the stairs, and he eventually fell down the stairs and died. And also the last thing she did to her son was slap him in the face, by the way, if you'd forgotten. Laura soon ends up seeing all the children in the house, and ends up reading them a bedtime story, and the implication is that the pill she took killed her, and now she can be with her son and the children in the house. Also, the theory proposed by the film that the closer you are to death, the more you can experience what's on the other side, held true for Simone, who was talking to the imaginary kids, who was obviously going to die within a month of actually seeing them for the first time. And also Laura started experiencing seeing the ghosts around the house, and of course she was going to die as well. I wanted to keep this reasonably short. There's much more to go into, but I'd rather leave some for you to figure out as well. Such a beautiful film, and there's so much to it, so I advise, if you haven't watched it at this point, please go and watch it.
Thanks for tuning into Creepskates. My eyes are watery, it smells so much. Thanks for tuning into Creepskates. Why do we have to do it with this? Thanks for tuning into Creepskates. Come again next week.
We're now accepting submissions of horror flash fiction under 1,500 words that will feature in a horror fiction podcast on the channel periodically. If you're interested in finding out more, there's a link in the description. Alternatively, if you've got a true paranormal story, we're putting together a segment compiling viewer-submitted ghost stories. Follow the link on the screen to an instructional video detailing how to submit your story.